All right, so for this particular worksheet, basically what you're doing, the concept is graphing, and you're trying to find out the slope, the y-intercept, and to graph the point. So there's a couple different ways you could do this, but the key factor is when you ever get a worksheet like this or problems like this, you need to make sure that you use separate piece of paper because you can't really jam everything in and solve this correctly. Number one, which you can't see, number one says y equals -2. So basically you're graphing a line where y equals -2. So on the y-axis, it's -2. So that's here. And if you were to graph that line, basically you would hit the F. All right, and that's what you're looking for, which letter. So that's how you do number one. Number four is a little more complicated, and most of the problems are a little more complicated because you have two variables, x plus 2y minus 4 equals 0. What's weird about that is it's not in the format we want. We like it when it's y equals mx plus b. So we want the coefficient, right, of x and b to be alone. We want y to be alone as well. So what we can do, one way we can do this problem is we could just simply get y alone so we can solve for y. So to do that, we got to get rid of this. So we need to move it. So what I'll do is I'll just subtract it. Okay, so when I subtract that out, notice I didn't line these up. I didn't put the 0 in front like with that. So I'm going to bring this down. Now technically I don't really need to bring the 0 down, but I am just for our purposes here. So you'll see. Okay. So now I rewrote the problem. I brought that -4 down. I brought the 2y, the +2. I just left that alone. Now I'm going to try to get that y alone, so I'm going to get rid of this 4. So I'm going to add 4. Notice I'm going to line it up with the 0, not the x. So 0 plus 4 is 4 minus x equals 2y. These are canceled. Now my final step would be divide by 2. Okay, so these are going to cancel. I'm left with y equals 2 minus 1/2 x. So how did I get that 1/2? Just so you know, I divided the 2 into both terms. And if you didn't know, there's a 1 in front of that x. So what I really did was I just left it 1 divided by 2 as 1/2, which is the same thing. But that's slope. That's how we write slope. Rise 1, run 2. And then we got that 2 here. So if I were to come over here and graph it, basically the first thing I want to do is start at my y-intercept, where I begin. So where do I begin? I begin at 2. So that's where I put my first dot. Then I'm going to follow the slope, which is -1, 2. So that means go down 1/2, down 1/2, down 1/2, down 1/2. So you'll see that if I graph this line, L is the letter, okay, that I would cross through. Sorry, I didn't do that side very well. Okay, so hopefully you understand what I did. I basically found the y-intercept and the slope by putting it into this format. Okay, y equals mx plus b. There are other ways to solve this problem. You could actually pick different values for x and y, and you could solve it that way. I'll show you what I mean for number 8. All right, so number 8 says, well, let's do it with number 9. Number 9 says -2x equals 2y plus 5. So if I just did a little t-chart here, and I did 0, 1, 2, 3, okay? If I said the value of x was 0, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug that in right here, and I'm going to see what I get for y. So -2 times 0 is 0. 0 equals 2y plus 5. And what I'm going to end up getting is kind of a unique answer because I don't know what y is. I want to get it alone, so I'm really going to have to solve for y anyway. So this becomes 0 equals 2y plus 5. I'm going to subtract 5 and get this. So I get y equals -5/2. So that's go down 5. Okay. So that's basically how that's done to find that, and I would continue plugging in the numbers and solving, getting y alone, and then just finding what y is all the way down. So that's how you can solve it that way. I suggest using this method here because I think it's a lot easier finding this form. Okay.